Hey, if you dig the weirdness you're about to see, check out my book, Humble Homes, Simple Shacks, on Amazon.com, DIY concepts in regards to shelter. And we came out with a plan set recently, an A-frame that transforms and can be built for only $1,200. Check that out at relaxshacks.com. Now that's proper. Hey, I'm Derek Diedrichson from relaxshacks.com. I'm getting sick of doing my taxes here and sorting receipts, such as the burden of being self-employed. So I figured I'd take a time out to do some sketching. Mainly, this is kind of selfish. It's for me to convey some ideas of a design I'm working on with Jay Shafer to architect Sean Carey, who might be taking these whimsical, weird structures that I'm designing, or in some cases designing with others, and making them into actual, readable, workable plans. So I figure I will film the drawing, because I don't get to hang out with Sean and send this video to him, but maybe post it publicly at the same time. If you're watching this, that was my decision, apparently. This is anyway, so Jay Shafer going to be one of the collaborators offering some full plan sets in this book. Him and I are teaming up for one. We have Will Yount from HummingbirdTinySpaces.com, Holly Gomez from A Place Imagined out of Texas, Matt Wolpe from JustFineBuildDesign.com, probably Sean Carey as well, architect, and a plan from myself as my dog howls in the background. So anyway, Jay gave me a plan, something he calls the pouting shed. Very tiny, tiny little pod, sleeping pod or cabin, which I think would be great for, like, you know, the long trail up in Vermont or Appalachian Trail. Give it a metal roof here. Just a tiny little sleep pod. I'm a big fan of these. They cost almost nothing to make, and they serve as temporary shelter, perhaps for the homeless. Weekend camping. You could build a whole series of these out in the woods. Glass window here. The thing's tiny. It's only 8 feet across. The total height's like 5.5 to 6 feet. Built with a lot of stock length lumber. Like I said, affordable, simple to build, kind of the concept or overall running theme of the new book. So I talked to Jay. I said, Jay, would you mind if I, if we did a collaboration here, if I added my little touch to it as well? Because I thought it'd be cool to have two worlds combined. We come from far different backgrounds. So to make it kind of whimsical fun, this will not be to scale for the record. Hopefully I'm still on the screen here. I thought, much like my Vermont cabin I built well over a decade ago, what if we put this thing up on stilts? Here's some scraggly grass and such, perhaps a rock or two. Now let's make it a turtle. There's his tail, there's his feet, and he's smiling. Hello. Okay, back on track. So if we put this up on 4x4s or 6x6 pressure-treated posts, gave it some knee braces, probably more substantial than that, so it wouldn't sway and rock. All of a sudden you have this elevated view, but also you're creating, the cabin becomes almost like a canopy or a pagoda, if you will. So you have all this workspace and sit space underneath. I am one of the whiter men alive, so I like shade spots in my builds, designs, my camps. So between these posts out in the front, why not build a bench here? Because you could have a terrible drawing. It looks like a rabbit being buried alive. It's supposed to be a campfire. You could have, far enough away, of course, from the cabin, you could have your little bench here where you could sit, hanging out. There's Mr. Scribble Man there. Terrible drawing. Getting his marshmallows ready. You could sit there hanging out by the fire. The supports, in effect, become the bracing or the attachment points for this bench. Now, on the back, the perspective, I didn't plan on doing this, will be terrible because I already drew my hill. On the back, much like we built this bench, say out of, this bench might be like 2x12s. In the back, we'll put a whole series of 2x6s. They're like shelves. So if you're sitting under here preparing food or want to store some camping items, and you have some generous overhang as well on this roof to give you more shedded space, if I'm making up words here. This thing again is 4x8, the base, a sheet of plywood. All of a sudden you have these shelves right here, and behind that I'm thinking Tough-Tex. It's polycarbonate roofing. What if we had, to fill in the whole back of these shelves here, a big wall of Tough-Tex on hinges that actually later swung open towards the back and had kickstand legs, much like my A-frame, transforming A-frame cabin, so that you have even more shade or workspace in rainstorms or in the blazing heat of the sun. So we have these shelves built in the background. Now we have this little bench out in the front, all these cemented into the ground to keep this nice and stable below the frost line as well. As for getting here, you'd have this little lip so you can get into the door that would be right here, but you would have it with cut with 2x12 blocks or planks, a series, again, terrible sketch, just to convey the idea, Probably will post this, or I guess I'm posting it publicly, but it's more so a video for Sean Carey, the architect, so he can make these into workable, understandable plans. So I figure, what if you had these little like mushroom-like pedestals on 6x6 posts, again cemented into the ground, that you could climb or hop from one to the other to ascend all the way up to the entrance of what Jay was calling the pouting shed. A tiny sleep space for introverts, so we can go to get away from things, read a book, relax. So you step on these little pedestals here. You could even put an eye screw here and have like a little rope railing to help guide you up there. That starts at pedestal number 1 off the side of the drawing. And these then double as little food prep areas, seats, tables. You could sit on this one, eat off that one, and it's just a fun little array of steps leading up to the entrance of this cabin. At night, as the embers are dying in the fire, this window is nice and low here, so as you're sitting there, maybe reading a book, something short and sweet like War and Peace, you can kind of sit there and gaze out the window at the surrounding woods and see the campfire. I love doing that with a lot of my cabins. You have some window down low, so when you go to bed, you can still watch the fire. It's burning down low at night. Just kind of a cool backwoods thing. So that's the general idea. I'm thinking this here would either be sided in, tongue and groove car siding, that being train car siding, tongue and groove style, not like metal automobile doors. Or even just ply sided and painted with a couple coats of exterior paint. Very simple structure, and it would be very, very inexpensive to build. So that's the general idea for those of you watching, or for Sean Carey. Very whimsical, different, but the idea is fun, simple, small, super affordable, and easy to build structures this time around the book, which will be very different from Humble Homes Simple Shacks. We're going to have a lot of actual plan sets in this one. There's the general idea. Thank you for watching. Dig it or not, I appreciate it. And subscribe to us if you would be so kind. RelaxShacksDOT.com on YouTube. See ya.